I'm Angel, and I want to welcome you to 5 Steps to Vegan. This online program has been designed for those who are moved by the vegan message and who are just seeking a little practical advice with regard to how to take the next steps. We hope to be able to use the information and insight that we've gained from years of vegan living and educating and share it in such a way that will help you to gain confidence and assurance about making this hugely important move. Our 5 presentations will cover the topics of food, nutrition, finding what you need as a vegan, and even navigating social situations. Ultimately, we hope to be able to shine a light on how we maintain our commitment in a world that is becoming increasingly hospitable to a vegan's needs, but doesn't necessarily always cater to us automatically. As you make your way through each of the 5 steps, we encourage you to jot down any questions you might have and send them on to us, so that we can do our best to answer the most frequently asked questions in upcoming presentations, or possibly even in one or more live webinars. We welcome your feedback, and we look forward to hearing from you. Now that we have reached the year 2020, vegan is finally becoming a household word. The stigma against it is all but disappearing, as plant-based alternatives are becoming increasingly available and enjoyable, and a whole host of medical professionals are at long last conceding that we don't need animal foods to be healthy after all. More and more people are starting to acknowledge the devastating burden this industry puts on our planet, and the very wealthy are even investing in plants as the future of food. For many people, though, the idea of veganism is still mistakenly interlinked with the idea of giving things up. Giving up the pleasure of one's favorite foods or restaurants, giving up cherished items of clothing, bedding, or furniture, giving up certain social experiences, and perhaps even giving up friendships and connections with those who insist on maintaining their attachment to the non-vegan way of life. There certainly is an initial adjustment period, during which new habits are established, and the new vegan learning to navigate this unfamiliar terrain might be surprised or sometimes even shocked to learn where certain animal products find their way into our lives. It's also true that novice vegans do tend to find themselves facing new challenges. But thankfully, living as a vegan is much, much easier than it is commonly perceived to be. And the more the vegan population grows, the easier it gets, as plant-based alternatives become more readily available all the time. In addition, since veganism allows us to finally be free from the inner conflict that comes from pretending to justify our participation in the slavery of other animals, there is a profound and lasting sense of relief that follows. As time passes, we realize it's not that our veganism has become second nature to us, but that veganism is, in fact, our real nature. And becoming vegan is nothing more than dropping the unnatural behaviors programmed into us by a world that has led us to see sentient animals like us as things to be used by us. Something fascinating happens to us as we begin to make our way through the world seeing from this new perspective. The longer we are vegan, the more comfortable we feel with our veganism, until eventually the old way of being becomes not only undesirable, but unthinkable. And maintaining our commitment becomes an imperative that directs our decisions for us, eliminating any need for willpower or determination. Our vegan way of life becomes just life, and any perceived inconveniences pale in comparison to the peace of mind and heart that comes from knowing we are living according to our values. And the fact is, even if we do sometimes find ourselves inconvenienced by our commitment to remaining vegan under all circumstances, the question we must continue to ask ourselves is not, is it easy, nor is it convenient, but is it the right thing to do? Being vegan is easy, but the fact that it may sometimes feel inconvenient doesn't absolve us of our obligation to avoid being consumers of the animal industry. Living without harming others for a taste, a trinket, or a thrill is not a personal choice. It's simply the very least we owe all others who share with us the experience of being sentient. And each time we replace a non-vegan item with a vegan alternative, we can feel strengthened by our knowledge that we have not betrayed our fellow animals for something as trivial as preference, habit, comfort, or convenience. For those who are not 100% confident about their commitment to vegan living, and those who are concerned that being vegan is not going to be easy, our advice is to do everything you can to educate yourself about why making this change is as necessary as justice. Read and learn about the facts of the situation in earnest, and keep reading and learning until you reach the point where the products of animal slavery are simply no longer appealing to you. Interestingly, it soon becomes clear that this, in itself, is the key to making it easy to stay vegan. When we lack clarity about the reasons why, it's easy to second-guess our decision and remain confused and conflicted as a result. But once we really understand the reasons for being vegan, there is no challenge that can make us question our resolve, and no degree of social pressure can tempt us to break this critical commitment to working toward a future that we can feel proud to be a part of building. In the last couple of decades, common usage of the word vegan has gone through a number of shifts. With the word and the concept becoming much more widely known, we have witnessed an unavoidable watering down of the original meaning. Plant-based diets for health reasons are becoming increasingly popular, as athletes, celebrities, nutritionists, doctors, and their patients are hopping on the vegan diet bandwagon to lose weight, gain energy and mental clarity, treat and prevent chronic diseases, and even to improve athletic performance. Nowadays, CEOs of certain corporations are actually encouraging their employees to adopt a vegan diet in order to lower their health insurance costs. In the meantime, the past few years have given birth to a new wave of concern about animal agriculture's devastating impact on the planet. And this has resulted in a movement to reduce dependence on animal products in order to curb climate change and overall environmental degradation. And of course, in response to growing public awareness about the realities of animal farming, increasing numbers of people are adopting vegan lifestyles out of concern about the individuals who suffer in feedlots and on farms. It's unavoidable that veganism will continue to mean different things to different people. But we hope to speak to those who are drawn to its central message of nonviolence, personal responsibility, and justice for the non-human animals with whom we share this existence, whether they are housed in factory farms or otherwise. Contrary to what has become popular belief, vegans do not only subscribe to a plant-based diet. Nor do we abstain from using animal products solely as a reaction to large-scale, industrialized animal farming. Vegans object to our use of fellow animals as resources in and of itself, whether the individuals in question are being exploited in factories or in small, backyard, family farm situations. This includes the use of other animals for food, for clothing, for cosmetics, for research, and for entertainment. It also extends to any situation where other animals are being used for labor, such as with horses drawing carriages, and any situation where our fellow animals are regarded as commodities, such as in the pet industry, which treats sentient beings as living inventory to be bought and sold as companion animals. Although vegans generally encourage adoption and rescue of animals previously used as pets, we do not support the pet trade by purchasing the individuals it sells. Vegans do not use or wear animal skin in the form of leather or suede, body hair sold as wool or fur, feathers marketed as down, or any other fabric that comes from animals' bodies, including the raw material of cocoons that is boiled out of living beings to become silk. Nor do we eat as food any ingredients that come from other animals' bodies, including milk, honey, eggs, flesh, or anything else of animal origin, including byproducts such as gelatin and casein. We abstain from using cosmetics and personal care products that are made using animal ingredients or animal testing. And we do not support or condone any form of entertainment or so-called sport that involves the use of sentient individuals, including circuses, rodeos, aquariums, hunting, racing, safaris, or zoos. As far as is reasonably possible, we seek alternatives to pharmaceutical products made using animal ingredients or testing. With the world the way it is, it simply isn't possible to avoid the use of all animal products, as they are hidden in many things from car tires to shirt buttons. We do hope, however, that our growing numbers will ultimately lead to substitutions for all animal-based items in response to a population now increasingly demanding vegan alternatives. In conclusion, vegan is so much more than a diet and so much more than a lifestyle. Although there is a diet and a way of life that go along with it, these adjustments to our daily practices are simply an outer reflection of the commitment that the new vegan makes in response to a shift in perception about the sentience of our fellow animals and the resulting implications for our relationship to them. Every non-vegan consumer is a cog in the system that dominates our non-human brethren. And we use the word vegan as a statement of our conscientious objection to the one-sided war we humans wage against all other life forms on this planet. Becoming vegan is the realization that as long as we consume the remains of the slaughter, we are the slaughterhouse workers. When we buy products that are tested for safety using torturous, sadistic methods, we are the laboratory technicians. Until we become vegan, we are defenders of the belief that other animals do not have a right to their own lives or freedom. We hold the blade against their throats. We are the slave holders. We are the fur farmers, the trophy hunters, the bullfighters, the dog fighters, the puppy breeders, the horse racers, the whalers. We play all of these roles until we become vegan. As we are beginning to see, making the commitment to veganism offers us new possibilities, new opportunities, and the new lease on life that comes not only from doing what we feel is right, but much more fundamental, leaving behind practices that we know to be wrong. But when we're first exposed to the concept, many people find themselves daunted by understandable but ultimately unnecessary fears. Some of this resistance is due to our attachment to experiences such as tastes, textures, habits, and conveniences. But there are other reasons that often go unacknowledged, such as our aversion to certain emotional feelings. For some, the sorrow that arises when we learn about the enormity of the plight of our fellow animals can be simply crushing. And there is a fear that if we allow ourselves to really feel the emotions that such a realization invokes, we will be broken by them. Some struggle even more with feelings of guilt, regret, and even shame, feelings that arise naturally when we come face to face with the distress of those who have suffered and died as a result of choices that we ourselves have made. It hurts to have the veil of illusion drawn back when it has been hiding from view something so monstrous. But thankfully, becoming vegan is exactly what we need in order to rid ourselves of those feelings. When someone makes a change as significant as becoming vegan, they leave behind the character they previously played and experience a return to their true self, someone who would no longer, under any circumstances, tolerate the idea of participating in exploitation. With this one profound change, we find that we are now free to leave our previous choices and all the feelings now attached to them in our non-vegan past where they belong. Some of the most powerful voices in the world of vegan advocacy are those of the individuals who once actively took part in the practices that they have since rejected. In issue 6 of Tofu magazine, for instance, Alex Saab shared his personal experience of shutting up and shutting down, as he calls it, in a heart-wrenching retrospective describing his childhood spent on a game bird hunting resort. Game Birds and Growing Up is a must-read for anyone seeking to better understand how we humans are able to condition ourselves to participate in actions that we are repulsed by, both morally and physically. Now an adult who walked away from his family business, Alex ends his piece with an explanation of what it has taken for him to try and allow himself to feel once more. I would take turns blocking out memories and then reliving them tortuously, drenching in guilt and then hurriedly severing any remaining ties to my childhood, to the existences of long-dead birds by the thousand. I wanted feeling and sensation again, but it was on the other side of a pain and history that had been a relief to leave behind. Putting senses to sleep can be done through little tricks and bought time, but waking them up again, I think, takes earthquakes. I quake, remembering these birds and how it felt to love them. Pheasants are 2 feet long with a crest and a bright red wattle under their eyes. The world splits when the memories come, so I surrender and remember. Their beaks, their bodies, how they could fly. I remember a time when we were both so alive. If we are willing to face the intensity of our feelings with sincerity, courage, and humility, we find that it is this experience itself which delivers to us the very resolve we need. Once a person breaks through this critical point, there really is no question as to whether he or she is able or ready. It's incredibly empowering when the epiphany strikes and we know that we have already turned a corner and that our commitment to veganism is a done deal. It's a moment most people describe as being one of the most monumental turning points of their entire lives. Once again, by being willing to look more deeply into the significance of the new perspective that veganism offers, we find a key to our vegan future that will serve us far better than any number of new recipes, exciting product developments, or even social support networks. Within the stark reality of these feelings lies an invitation to better understand the situation we are standing up against. And it is this very understanding that will fortify us against every challenge the non-vegan world places in our path.